doors open, kids find a safe space. F3 Gaming Doc fights the grind each day. From the joystick low to the streets ballet. She's the voice that echoes the restless hum. Hardcore hero where the city drums. She drove out of Cali where the sun went red. Found a home where chaos and dreams are bred. The city roars but her wheels still roll. Streaming at night with a fierce heart soul. That free gaming dog fights the grind each day. From the joystick low to the streets ballet. She's the voice that echoes the restless hum. Hardcore hero where the city drums. They laugh, they cheer when her streams go live. Green glow shining, she makes them thrive. Kids in the morning don't see her night. She hides battles fought by screens, strange light. Driving their futures down bustling streets, filling small lives with the simple beats. She carries their dreams while chasing her own. Walking roads never leave her alone. She drove out of Cali where the sun went red. Found a home where chaos and dreams are bred. The city roars but her wheels still roll. Streaming at night with her fierce heart soul. They laugh, they cheer when her streams go live. Green glow shining, she makes them thrive. Kids in the morning don't see her night. She hides battles fought by screens, strange light. Driving their futures down bustling streets, filling small lives with the simple beats. She carries their dreams while chasing her own. Winding roads never leave her alone.
Well, greetings, gamers. This is Dr. Eileen, the gaming doc, the driving doc, and this is your place, your space, and your hour to chat, to chill, to hang out, to take a moment, to take a break, to take a breath. And it's only 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks and 2 days left of getting up at 3 in the morning, at least for a little while until school starts. And it is a time, but it is not sunny, but not totally overcast. The temperature is very nice, so I call that a win. And first, we must acknowledge our Olympic champions, the first 3 across the gate, coming in for the gold. We have someone who we have not seen in a hot minute, my summer car with mods, coming in for the silver with the southbound end of a northbound unicorn, and it's raining beans. Hallelujah. Gimme beans art. And coming in for the bronze, sailing in from distant seas, pulling into port, Captain Firebeard himself, Fire Nuttery, Englishing, 5, 8, 9 champions, just like at the Olympics. Take your places on your risers. Wrap yourselves in your national flags as we play your national anthems. Hello, 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 hello. And we've got Chili Millie. It's your birthday? Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Hold on. We got to do the birthday thing. Oh, Chili Millie. All right. We have our official birthday candle that has 2 wicks. 1 for our absolutely amazing birthday person, and 2 for everybody else, whether it's a birthday or an unbirthday. And everybody at Doc Stream, Everybody gets a wish. But first, we must do the birthday songs. Happy birthday, we love you. Happy birthday, and may all your dreams come true. When you blow out the candles, one light stays aglow. It's the love light in your heart where'er you go. And this is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Yay! Alrighty. And okay, so everybody make a wish. Just, and please make it a selfish wish. We could wish for world peace and we could wish for all kinds of things and an end to all the worries of the world. Okay, you can wish that any other time you want. But make this wish something that serves no other purpose than it makes you happy. Because you deserve a wish that is all about you. Okay, so, and Chili Millie, one of the candles, one of these is your special wish, so make sure you got your wish. Everybody else has the other wish. And okay, so take a nice deep breath in. You're going to blow at your monitor screen. Honest, it will work. Okay, everybody. 1, 2, 3. And as the smoke goes up to all those wonderful places where wishes get answered. But Chili Millie, I'm so happy for you. And you are, this is your anniversary, your happy new year for the world. And I have returned. Yes. Happy birthday. Thank you, guys. The game I've been playing on Roblox, I last mentioned that I was last on, you're now level 730, and the goal level is 1,667. You're almost halfway there, because that would be a high enough level for my skill summons to be about level 5,000, would be enough to plausible match the top raid boss of the game. Going after the boss. I like your moxie. Not to be scared of a horror game. Yes. In fact, just recently, I watched a clip from a long time ago. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up. There was a clip, and I didn't even know. There's a group that I'm a part of that is wait a minute. Well, why are you not going? Goodness. YouTube. There's a group called the Nameless Family, and search across your channel. Oh, okay. So that's why we need to go back to YouTube, and we go to, let's see. Okay, trying to do something technological here. Hold on. Okay, so it's not there. Hold on. And you're wondering, what is she doing? What is she about? Hold on. Because you bringing up jumping at horror games. Let's see. Hold on. Where is it? Okay.
I will give you...
Hold on. Pause. First off, let's dial that sound down a little bit. Let's make this. Okay, so this was something that I posted. It was one of the first things when I was playing a horror game. So, and you were my summer car with mods. Okay. I am embracing what you're saying. So,
a really nasty paper cut.
Anybody played Mortuary Assistant?
See, I knew the paper cut.
I yeeted my controller. So yes. I totally get you being jump scared. If you
Critical. Oh my god, I unplugged it. Don't throw the controller again.
Really?
So, yes, I totally get the whole, you know, getting jump scared. Yes, that was several minutes that I took trying to find that. My wish is to be able to logistically kill the top raid boss already. Yes, on repeat. Been crying on and off this morning. Oh, good tears. Okay. Tears are the sincerest form of connection with the universe. Tears allow us to go into that place of surrender. It allows us to be our most authentic self, because when we're in that point, we are our most authentic self. And it is good. And how, Kimmy Beans, how's the recuperation going? How is it, because I know the last couple of days and post surgery, it is, you know, it is really rough, but hopefully, as a couple of more days go by, you'll start noticing it kind of receding a little bit. My ears, yes. Let's not forget the time Doc gets jump scared and spilled her drink. Yes. Well, I'm going to be playing a horror game called Alien Isolation. I've heard of that. And that's a game the alien learns how you play. See, I'm sorry. I do not want my games that smart. I can feel my right arm starting to work better. That is so wonderful, Kimmy. I mean, just take it one step at a time, but I am so glad that, you're noticing that upside. And as the inflammation goes down, you're going to notice even more. And post-surgery recovery is no joke. That is a tough row to hoe. And it kind of reminds us that we don't always have choice. We always have choice in how we respond to a situation, but we cannot always choose the situation we find ourselves in. So it is, I had a scooter crash. You had a scooter crash? Are you okay? Is everything all right? I a crash of any kind is not okay. So, and honestly, when you drive a school bus, you have to watch out for everything. And I have had more than one, my hat. I have had more than one case where somebody on a scooter decided that it was really a good idea to zip between cars and come out onto the road right in front of my bus. Fortunately, I am very paranoid when it comes to driving my bus, and especially when I've got kids on board. And so I have a tendency to drive like a little bit below the speed limit. And, if I'm in an area where there's a lot of cars on each side of the road or something, I slow down even more. If people behind me are in a rush, they can take another road. So, but I slow down. But oh, I'm so sorry you had a scooter crash. I hope you're okay. And, it is about being able to accept those times. Life is fun till it isn't, and it sucks till it doesn't. And I consider recovering from a procedure or a surgery or, anything like that, or, recovering from an injury. I consider that sort of something that's in between, because it's not fun, and yet it moves you towards fun. And as each moment that comes, that you can actually tell that you're recuperating, that is actually very cool. I remember when after I think my first abdominal surgery, and once I got used to it, because I've had five. So once I got kind of used to it, it was like, you know, once you get through it once, you can start to figure out and start feeling it's like, okay, here's how much I can do. I've been here before. I can sort of navigate these waters where each time is different. There are certain things that remain consistent. And I always, you know, that moment, and for me, it was always a moment when I moved or did something, and then it took me a couple of minutes to realize, wait a minute, that didn't hurt as much as it did. And it's that didn't hurt as much as it did moment that it's like, okay, I know that I'm going to be all right. I know that I'm going to be fine. Venomous! Yay! There's my youngster. Liar. But but I appreciate it. I don't get called a youngster very often. You cannot tell me that a higher power doesn't exist. I firmly believe. Yes, I feel like this was organized by a higher power. I agree with you. I don't know. That does sound like a good idea. Both ankles sprain, neck sprain, and hip hurts, shoulder hurts. Oh, goodness. Oh, we've got, let's see, who is it? Captain Johnny. Captain Johnny just put it. Oh, is this yours, my summer? Is this the ones that you put in? And Venomous, I don't know, it's always fun because no matter how bad things are, we still have a path to either recovery or some sort of answer in the overall human experience. Exactly. My neurosurgeon doesn't see me until Friday and he has no clue he saved me. Doc, I placed pictures of the damage in Discord. So I was wondering if that was you. Like, for example, if you had 5 surgeries, but in the olden days, if anyone survived one, it was a good day. Abso-freaking-lutely. And considering that 2 of those were C-sections, and I know full well that there were, you know, there was a time where basically a C-section was like, and we are sacrificing the mother for the child. Especially like in medieval times where it was believed that, you know, if there was a potential that it was a son, yeah, the mother was definitely expendable. And the fact that, you know, there is, I mean, it really is the medical and health, we still have a long way to go. There's still a lot we haven't got cured. And there is so much that at one point, I mean, just arthroscopic surgery where, you know, you make a couple of little incisions and put something in, put a camera in, you do your thing, you get out, you know, as where, you know, because it used to be like for knee surgeries that are now, most are done arthroscopically. And in the old days, when you would have like an 8-inch scar on the side of your leg. But yeah, we will go to the pictures. But yeah, you know, he has no idea I can lift my hand over my head. Good for you, sweetheart. Yep, sacrifice. We need rain. My helmet was destroyed. Oh, this has been a joy of a recovery, no lie. Yeah, it hurts, but I'm getting to the bathroom without needing help. Good for you, sweetie. Oh my gosh. Okay, so these were post accident. Oh, that got scratched up. Oh, poor Scooty. Oh my goodness. Oh, Scooty got scuffed up. Oh, and it looks like you ended up catching a little bit, you know, I mean, with the kind of injuries you had. Let's see, both ankles sprained, neck sprained, and hips and shoulder. Yeah, that's a tumble. And I'm very proud of you because it looks like you were definitely covered up, that you know, you weren't out there in bare legs and flip-flops and, you know, and yeah, it is rough when you take a tumble on something like that. I'm lucky. Yep. I mean, you know, someone was looking out for you. But yeah, I mean, it really is. And especially when we have health issues, when we have things going on with our physical self. Because quite honestly, a lot of the times I know for me, I don't really think of my body that much unless something's hurting or unless something is keeping me from doing something I want to do. Other than that, I really don't notice. And, the example that I always give is my nose. I do not think of my nose except when, it's like I'm thinking about which nose ring I'm going to put in. But other than that, I do not give my nose a second thought unless it's plugged up. If it's plugged up or if it's running like a faucet, oh, then suddenly my nose is the center of my world. It's like, nose, nose, please feel better, feel better. But, when it's working perfectly, I really don't notice it. And often when, we're comfortable, when we're doing things, when we're going out, unless there's discomfort involved, we're really not paying that close of attention to our physical self. But when that discomfort hits, suddenly it's like, oh, we need to pay attention to this. Let's see. I thought I was watching over me because I almost uh oh, you were gonna ride with shorts? See, you get that guidance. It needs nasal irritation to never forget. Oh my gosh. But I mean, I can't be the only one who does that. It's because, our brains are dealing with all kinds of other stuff. We're thinking about all kinds of other things, the things we need to do, the things we haven't done, you know, money issues, relationship issues, the to-do list that is never ending, or, something that we have to get done by a certain time. And our brains are thinking like, I guess, hold on. How many thoughts? Okay. How many thoughts per day? Okay, scientists, here we go. Scientific research estimates that the average person has roughly 6,200 thoughts to the day. And see, they used to think it was 70,000, but, the current research is that about 6,200 thoughts, 6,200 thoughts per day. And when you think about, it's like, okay, how many thoughts per minute? Per minute. 6 to 6.5 thoughts per minute, roughly 6,000 thoughts per day. Some studies estimate that individuals can have and I think that also depends on the person. That depends a lot on the person and on the life they're living. If you have some, like, let's say when I was a doctor, I would say I probably had more than the average number of thoughts per minute because I was constantly having to think about the things to do for my business and all of that stuff, and getting, and diagnosing and trying to figure out what's going on with my patients, and dealing with people and dealing with insurance companies and dealing with all of that. I think it depends how many you thoughts you would depend greatly on your level of activity. I mean, a student in school, or, like a student at university, is probably going to have significantly more thoughts than, let's say, a retiree who's sitting by a dock fishing. So the idea that, what it is that is weighing on our mind. So let's say 6,200 thoughts a day. You can't be fully conscious of every single one of those thoughts. So more than likely, some of those thoughts are just kind of like background noise. Do, 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 do. Let's see. Comfort is the luxury we have in the good times and will pay any cost to get it back when it's gone. That is venomous. Please put that in inspiring thoughts. Comfort is the luxury we have in the good times and will pay any cost to get it back when it's gone. Yeah. And the thing is, I find that for me, uh, to be totally honest, a lot of times I take that for granted. When, I mean, hear me out on this. I'm driving along in my bus and, you know, absolutely nothing happens. Every turn I make is a nice wide turn. I don't have to sit and it's like, how do I position myself to make this turn? I'm not caught behind a garbage truck or, I'm not caught behind a car that is double parked. I just the kids get on the bus, I drop them off at their stops and then head back. And I get back to the yard. I don't automatically think about the fact that nothing went wrong, that everything went perfectly routine and it was perfectly fine. And it's interesting because if things are going really well for a while, and I've had a lot of people tell me this, that if things go too well for too long, folks automatically start thinking of, the hard stuff because they're not used to having that low of stress. And they almost feel compelled to think of things that could be aggravating just so they can feel normal. It's like, no, things are going too good. Something bad's got to happen. And then we start thinking about all the bad things that could happen. Let's see. Only 6,200. I mostly have 1.2 thoughts because I overthink a lot. You know what? I mean, that can be a good thing because it means that you're being very present with it, that you're not just coasting with it. You're not just going, "Oh, well, it's whatever." And there are folks who have that where, they pretty much go where the wind blows them. In some ways I kind of envy them a little bit because there are some things that I do overthink. And people will tell me it's like, I was raised by two Air Force sergeants, which means that I was raised to be very rule oriented and to always look at the big picture of everything that could possibly go wrong. The old saying was plan for the worst, then hope for the best. And being able to look at that and go, okay, because sometimes stuff will be going on and everybody will be like, oh, yeah, this is fine. And you're going, it's like, this is not fine. There's something going on here. When you get that little thing in your brain that says, hey, there's something going on here. Something is not what it should be. I don't know exactly what it is yet, but I know that something is not what it should be. So, that's a good form of overthinking. It means that you aren't going to get taken by surprise because you're going to consider stuff. All I have is negative thoughts. Oh, venomous. You have lovely thoughts. I think you have nice thoughts. You come in here and you say nice things and you're helpful and you're lovely. I mean, and the thing is, okay, first off, if that is your belief about yourself, if you love it, I love it for you. I would never want to interfere with anybody's self image. And a long time ago, I decided that a positive thought or a negative thought was only positive or negative based on the story I attached to it. You could have the exact same scenario, and yet the perception that you have could go either way, depending on what it is. And, the example that I've given before is that, let's say it has to do with a flat tire. And let's say you had this event that you wanted to go to and you've been looking forward to it for like a month and you're very excited about it, you're very keen on it, you're going to meet up with your friends and you're going to do something cool and you've been imagining it, and maybe even a special person's going to be there that you're going to want to talk to, and this has been your whole world, and you're getting ready to go and you're excited, and you go outside and you look and you see that you've got flat tires. You got like two flat tires and you can't go. And it is heartbreaking. And because you know that by the time, the AAA gets there, or maybe you don't have AAA, maybe you're just stuck. That is the worst thing that could happen. It's a horrible thing to happen. It breaks your heart to have those flat tires. Now, consider another situation. You have an event that you would frankly rather, chew glass than go to this event. You don't want to go. You don't like the people that are going to be there. You know they're going to be nasty to you, but you're going out of some sense of obligation, but you're really hating it. You've been dreading it all week. You've been, it's like you don't want to be there. And it is horrible. Just your stomach knots up every time you think about going. And as you drag yourself outside, going to what feels like your own execution, you see you've got two flat tires, which means you can't go. And you call them up, and it's all you can do to keep the giggle out of your voice, saying, "Oh, I've got flat tires. I'm so sorry. I can't make it." At that point, flat tires are like, divine intervention, and it gets you out of a situation. In both cases, specifically, what you're dealing with are flat tires. But whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing depends on the story you attach to it. What is the meaning that we give it? And, I had a thought of a summon for a summoner. The summon could be, in theory, a three-headed fire wolf with a fire attacks or area of effect fire attacks. Wanted to run that idea by you. I think that's cool. I mean, summoning is fun. And, I'm picturing in my mind a three-headed fire werewolf, which would be pretty cool. The inspiration of it is my love of fire, and area of effect, and edgy mood, and Cerebus. Yes! And you got much love for the werewolves. I have all kinds of thoughts. As an artist, my brain is always on art, which is that expression of the thoughts. It's because you bring the best out of me, boss. Venomous, who bites with the toxin of goodness and happiness and joy, and everybody gets a great big dose of love whenever you're around. I mean, sweetheart, be right back. Okay. We'll talk more when you get back. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, and, you know, I can only imagine, Kimmy, the types of art that you're thinking of. Idea, 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 idea. Okay, Kimmy, while you're recuperating, and just as an if, um, do you think that you could do a sketch of what Fire Nutter just talked about? A three-headed fire werewolf with area of effect attacks. Would that be something that, I mean, if it's something that you can kind of envision, that's great. If not, that's cool. No pressure, no, whatever. But the idea of kind of making that a thing. Why is that doing twice? Okay. I was wondering why that was doing twice. It's like, oh, the window was open twice. I fixed it. Anyway, but yeah, which is the one of the coolest things about this community is that everybody has only if you feel like it, sweetie, only if you feel like it. Because it's like, it almost makes me immediately think of like a Pokemon. And remember, no matter what you create, you are changing the fabric of reality in the universe, because that thing that you're creating didn't exist anywhere in the universe until you made it exist. So, it's totally up to you, sweetie, and only if you feel up to it. I was just thinking, it's like, oh my God, Yahoo, looking forward to seeing results. If you so choose to do it and post, that would be very sweet. And, you know, like I said, you healing is the most important thing. This can go back on the back burner. And, but taking care of you And, it's just that you are such an amazing artist. Oh my God. I can only imagine the colors that you would bring in. That's like one of my favorite things is the colors and how you blend them. And it's like the way you do that is sort of almost like art within the art. And I've always thought that was very cool how you do like the backgrounds and how the background colors that you use kind of work with the colors within like the primary image. And you are just so talented. I so look forward to you doing this, if you decide to do the stream where you're showing people how to do art, because you've got like, I mean, it's amazing how you do that. I'm going to teach color theory at some point in the lessons. Please do, because the way you work with color is, like I said, it's sort of art within art, because there's the image, but then it's almost like the colors are a part of the story that gets created with it. It creates a mood, it creates a feeling. I mean, I've always gotten that impression, with your art, is that, just the first thing that strikes me is the color. We should think of a name for the three-headed fire werewolf when they attack just for fun. Well, Captain Firebeard, I want to invite Zeus for that lesson. Absolutely. And see, that would be so cool because, I mean, in looking at the idea of Zeus being colorblind, I think that would be really amazing to kind of, explore on that level, because he's fantastic at it as a colorblind person. Yeah. I mean, I've never been colorblind, and I've talked to people who have been, and they say that it's really weird because, people think they're at this big disadvantage and they don't consider themselves that. And I remember that the young woman I met who is blind, and she was blind since birth. And she said that, she said, "Can I ask you something?" And I said, "Sure." And she said, "Why do people feel sorry for me?" And I kind of paused. I said, "What do you mean?" And she said that, I mean, when you lose one sense, often the other senses are heightened. So she actually hears, since a lot of her input and her about, knowledge of the world around her, one of the ways that that comes in is hearing. So her hearing is very, very acute. And she says that she hears people saying things like, "Oh, poor girl." And she said, "Why do they think that I'm suffering?" And I said, "Well, maybe because they don't understand what it means to be blind. And they're looking at it as people who see." And she goes, "Well, I've never seen, but that doesn't mean I cannot picture or envision." And, and when I asked her, because once I actually asked her, it's like, "What do you dream?" And she kind of laughed because she said no one had ever asked her that before. She dreams in what she believes things would look like. It's like, when she touches something, it helps her create, kind of a belief as to what it would look like. And, like when she goes around a room and she uses her cane and she kind of scopes out a room, and she can not quite picture, but in a way, picture, envision what the room looks like, so that way she knows how to move around it. But, she couldn't understand why people felt bad for her. She goes, "Well, I've never seen, therefore I don't miss it." You know, so it was an interesting discussion. Jay! Oh my goodness. Flame Dog. Everybody, welcome in the inimitable, the amazing, the absolutely awesome Jay Stun Z, the king of New York, the reigning monarch of Staten Island, and I will hear no argument to the opposite. My OBJ Stun Zobi in all things that have to do with driving a bus and movies and computers and games and pizzas and all kinds of things. Yay! Oh, Jay, there's 3 boxes at the top of the stairs. You got a delivery. So I put them at the top of the stairs. Yeah, don't feel sorry for my handicap. I see colors you wouldn't. Yeah. I have a superpower. Well, of course you do. Thank you. There, your Arizonas. Ah, I was wondering about that. It's like, because I picked it up and, when you feel something jiggle a little bit, it's like, what is in here? Cool. But yes, there were, I mean, I don't know if 3 was the number of boxes that you were expecting, but that's how many were on the porch. So, yep. Okay. Well, then you got your entire delivery. And it is actually not bad outside. It's muggy, it's very humid, but temperature wise, it is not bad. Yep, stocked up. Nice. Talk about your superpowers, Kimmy Beans. Also, 3 movies coming today. Ooh, is one of the what was that one that we were talking about? Um, oh, what was it? I'm having a boomer moment. We were talking about, and I mentioned, and it was a movie that I was surprised you didn't have, and right now I am totally blanking on which one that was. What movies are coming? Yes, I can smell in Technicolor. Oh my gosh. Uh, it's funny. Caddyshack! That was it! That was it! Caddyshack! Um, I mean, and it's funny, Gimme Beans, for you to say Technicolor. I remember TVs in black and white, and then they had these like panel things that you put in front, that you hook to the front of the TV, and the top part had like a blue tint, the bottom part had a green tint. So if you were watching like an outdoor movie, you could do that and pretend that you had color. But I remember it was when we were living on base, Altus Air Force Base in Altus, Oklahoma. We were the first family on the block to have a color TV. And I mean, that would be the equivalent of being the first kid in the neighborhood to have the absolute newest game console. I mean, just the fact that we had a color TV, that took our social standing from like here all the way up to here. I mean, we were rated like up around like with the officers' kids. So the idea that, and I remember when it was like, oh, and it was in Technicolor. And movies, you went to the movie theaters and they would have a thing that said, in Technicolor. Oh my gosh, when Technicolor used to be a thing. But it was, let's see, Caddyshack, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which I've never seen, and a 3-pack, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Freddy versus Jason. Oh, I'm gonna need to have Arby with me if I watch those. Did I miss the bus simulator game? No, we haven't done the bus simulator game yet. I've been struggling with my sleep schedule, so I may have missed a few streams. No, you're fine. We haven't done it yet. I can see dead people. No, not a joke. Totally get it. Totally hear you. It is interesting, and it's funny because when when people realize what it is they perceive, and different people have different things, it's like I have a friend who's a mechanic. You could be running like 5 cars at once, and this person could identify while the engines are running what specifically is going on with each car while all of them are running at once. My youngest son, who is amazing and has basically perfect pitch and can transcribe music in his head. Um, I mean, he could listen to a musical piece. He could tell you not only exactly what instruments were involved in the orchestra, he could tell you which one was out of tune by just a little bit. It perceptions are so cool because, and they also, it's like, for people who do a lot of gaming, especially like first person shooters. I've sat and watched, Jay, bless his heart, tried to teach me how to do first person shooters, and I am level 10 in Call of Duty, which I find very impressive. But, I would sit and watch Jay play, and he would be like, you know, picking off folks I'm not even mentally aware that they're even on the screen. It's like by the time, it's like, oh, there's a person. Let me get my gun. Bang. And he's like, pow, 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 pow. How people can see stuff like that. I used to get that same feeling when my sons played Halo. It's like, wait a minute, how did you know they were there? How did you know they were here? And or like people who can taste like the nuance of a flavor that is in something, and and they can perceive it. Our sensory perceptions and extrasensory perceptions, it's amazing how varied they can be. People who can sense an earthquake coming, and I know people who can. They, especially when we're in California, but I knew people who could perceive an earthquake, and once they perceived it, within 24 hours, we would have an earthquake. Or, can feel the subtle difference in the wind and know that a storm is coming, even though the sky is clear. It is, seeing dead people isn't fun. I would say that depends on the people. The ones I've seen, in a lot of cases, it's like, family members, and being able to, you know, kind of interact on that level. And because I kind of did it as a part of my work as a medicine woman, it was like, oh, okay, the ones demanding to jump, and that's the thing. It's like, and always remembering you have choice. Whenever any being or consciousness is still subject to choice of the person. I've told a lot of people, it's like, it's like, oh well, and this happens and this happens, and then suddenly I'm out of control, or this being is in charge. It's like, then why do you let them? No. It's, and it does. It takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of grounding, it takes a lot of, really self-ownership. And once you can get to that place, it's like, no, nope, 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 nope. You don't get to, I don't hand over the car keys to just anybody. Have I handed over the car keys on occasion? Yes, but for very specific reasons and under very specific restrictions. Let's see. People are probably fine. Demons or negative entities are a different ballpark. Yeah. And they still have to obey the rules. And they count on the fact that the people that they deal with don't know what the rules are. Ultimately, rule number one, you have autonomy as long as you're willing to claim it and you know that it's your right. And it really is a tricky thing when, extra dimensional beings, and most people don't realize, yeah, they have to follow the same rules. There are rules. And, I'm very rule, you know the rules, and so do I. That's right. That's right. And the thing is, they know, but they're counting on the fact that you don't. And there's a thing called tacit approval, that even if a no is not said, it can be implied by not specifically saying it. So, or, there's mostly that term is used like for committees and things, like when people send out, people are on a committee and they send out an email saying, okay, we need everybody's vote on this. And tacit approval is if you didn't answer the email. It's like, well, by not sending back an email stating specifically no, you've agreed. So, yes, tacit approval. And tacit approval can happen in a lot of ways. It's, that person who is constantly, borrowing your stuff. If you don't flat out say, no, you cannot use my stuff. And then it's like, well, it bothers me, it irritates me. But, if we don't buck up and say, no, it's like, you get invited to something that you really don't want to go to, but you don't say you're not coming. It's like, well, you never said you weren't coming, or it's like you implied you were coming because you never said no. It's like, nope, I don't want to go. And no is a complete answer. No, thank you is a polite, complete answer. And being able to understand that no is not a bad thing. No is not a negative. No is simply an answer. It's like, no, thank you. Like I said, it's a polite, complete answer. It's like, oh, well, do you want to go to this? Oh, okay. Well, thanks for the invitation, but no, thank you. And then they want to put you on the defensive. It's like, well, why not? Which comes to my absolutely favorite response to anyone saying, why not? I started doing this when I was in high school. And the trick is, okay, the main trick is you have to be able to say it with a straight face. You cannot crack up. And what I used to do was, it's like, well, why not? Why not? Why not? And I'd look at them with a straight face and say it was necessary for the continuation of the universe. And I'd pause and go, you're welcome. You cannot imagine the type of looks you get when you tell somebody no and they say, well, why not? It's like, because it's necessary for the continuation of the universe. You're welcome. And you got to add the you're welcome. And one person said, it's like, that's not true. And I looked back, I said, did the universe continue? Yeah. Again, you're welcome. That puts people, I mean, first off, they look at you weird after that, but it is absolutely so fun. But again, you have to be able to keep a straight face. You can't bust up doing it because the look on their face is going to make you want to laugh. By people, I mean the negative entities. I'm a put them in a headlock. You go. I usually just don't touch what I don't understand, and that's usually the safest rule to follow. Fire it at her, put that over in inspiring thoughts. That is wisdom. That is wisdom right there. You don't bother them, you don't be bothered. And that is treat them like a window washer, refuse and don't look at them. Those why nots. Yes, it's fine. I don't mind the universe. The entity in my mom's house doesn't respect no. Well, depending on, what it is that you end up doing. And, I mean, and most of them, once you take the power away, once they realize they have no power, often they will just kind of go and sulk somewhere. They may stay in the space, but they won't interact because they realize they have no power. They have no ability to interact. And there are ways to remove entities. And I mean, there's this one scorched earth type of technique. But the thing is, it's like, that's like, okay, it gets rid of everything. It is literally scorched earth. So any other entities, any nice entities that are there are also going to get scorched. And it's tremendously painful, and it sends them somewhere that they don't want to be. and it does so in a tremendously painful way. And I learned it a long time ago. And you got to be real careful because if there is any other spirit there, a spirit you like, a kind spirit, they get torched. And, so it's really tough. Yeah, those are not good for sure. Yep. I just pray it don't end by someone eating too much Taco Bell. Taco Bell. Not gonna lie, if an entity shows up in my house, I'm cooked. No, you're not. They're gonna see me doing tribalistic dance while naked and screaming. Oh my gosh, that's like, first off, probably one of the best ways to get rid of a door-to-door salesman. That thing had injured me, yeah. And I will run faster than I ever ran in my life. It caused a lot of sleep paralysis. Yeah. I mean, there are ways to deal with stuff individually. And, one is to figure out what often there is something physical that will hold an entity in a particular space. It could be something that they owned, it could be something that they have an attachment to. And sometimes, I have found that thing that attached and I removed it. Um, Sometimes this entity actually doesn't want to be there. And I have found ways to transport them. And then there is the scorched earth thing. Yes, I did actually use that once. But we had to make sure there was nothing else in the house that, because I mean, and it's like salting the ground. They can, nobody can come back for a while. That space is like radioactive for them for quite a while. Let's see. I have scars from that thing. Yeah. And the thing is that remembering not to give them too much power. How do you find the anchor? I think a good spirit will understand and be chill about it. Well, the thing is that this particular technique, it goes above and beyond. It's like filling a room with gas vapors and throwing in a match. It's the napalm of techniques, and it takes out everything. And and houses often have multiple spirits that are in them, and the ground has energy and all of this stuff. So it really is, there's a lot of different techniques, and being able to lock into your own autonomy and not give them permission. And it really is very much, because, when we interact more in, those realms than any of us realize. There's a part of us that kind of goes in and out there. If we have loved ones that are a part of that realm, there's a part of us that's there too. And, it's a manifestation of my younger sister's trauma because both she and I were both victims of our dad. Yeah. I think it got stronger after basically feeding on all the bad stuff. Yeah. I mean, and there are ways to alter them to allow them to heal. But in some cases, if it's been a while, then they just need to go somewhere else. Or, it's like doing, one way to manage energy in a space is, you have a glass and fill it about halfway with water. Now, this is a glass, or I would usually use a jar that I do not use for anything else. And you take a mirror, you put a mirror face up. You put the glass half full on the mirror, and you leave that in a space. And after a few days, you notice that it starts looking oily or very cloudy. And, and what it does is it draws energy into it. And it's a way of, clearing out energy, clearing out a space, creating a protected space. And I've done that. And if you want to kick it up to another level, you take a candle and you put it behind the water on the mirror. So, it's let's see. I tried to get someone to exercise it. Yeah, and it's sort of like, in a way, it's kind of like being a doctor. You have to have a very clear idea on what you're dealing with. And that's something like, when, nobody wants to help. You know what? And in a lot of cases, they're not up for it. Some people say a lot of things, some people, they talk about it, but if they're faced with the real thing, suddenly it gets a little too real and they don't want to get involved because they know that they're kind of cosplaying. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who cosplay that sort of thing. And finding someone who really, really knows what they're doing. And, it's like one of the stories that, the place that my office had been in, the church where my office had been, and everybody knew it was haunted. Everybody knew there was a ton of spirits there. And one of them was messing with my office. And I mean, like, nothing serious, but, I'd be leaving for the night and I turn around and they turn the lights on in my office. And it's like, not cool. But I didn't really worry about it too much. But when my patient was on a table, and I know this patient could not have gotten off the table that fast, and I went to go get an ice pack and it locked the door behind me. Now, I always keep a spare key outside, so I was able to get back in, but it was like, no, we're done. So I waited till the end of the day. And I didn't say anything about it till then. And at the end of the day, it's like, all right, I need your attention. And I let them know. I said that this is not okay, that if they want to hang out, I got no problem with that. They want to play with the lights, just turn them off at the end, when they're done playing with them. Fine. But mess with me, mess with my patients, mess with my practice. And I told them flat out, I will send you someplace that you will never find your way out of, and it is going to hurt like, yes. And I said, I can do it. And suddenly everything got very still. And I didn't have any more problems. Well, then another chiropractor started working in one of the other office spaces, and she came up to me and she said that weird stuff was happening in her office. And so I told her the story. I said, you just have to be very firm. Just tell them that they're not allowed to be there. And so the next week she came up and she was grinning. I said, any more problems? She said, nope. And I said, oh, what'd you do? She goes, I told them that if they didn't stop, I was going to tell you. And they stopped. So, it is a very different type of world. Because we don't know the rules. Let's see. And in a way, venomous, you do. You just don't remember that you do. I know exactly what it is. I also know it's scary, dangerous. Don't boast. You can do it if you cannot. Yeah. It is, the universe waits for us to get cocky. And I know I can because I have. I'm not physically capable of getting rid of it myself. And with all of this, with the stuff that you've been through, you will. You're going to have that level of health and wellness and balance and, grounding in your own body and have it support you so you don't have the distraction of the discomfort. On the bright side, if they say they don't want to help, it means they're preferring to stay safe and not pretend what they're doing. Yeah. Doc, if I was that spirit, I wouldn't take the risk. Red, hey! The moment you light a candle, I'm pushing it on the floor. Oh, and considering the fact that, once I do finish my work here, believe me, I'll be coming back because I've got folks who I want to interact with. Anyway, and Red, it's so wonderful to see you. And unfortunately, we've got to go. And I realize it's after 12 and I've got to get ready to head back to the yard. So lunchtime's over. And it was so wonderful hanging out with you. We will be back tomorrow, same bad time, same bad station. And I've got to go and grab my bus and head back and, do my cleaning and then pick up the kids for the afternoon. So, everyone, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Take care. Thanks for an amazing stream as always. You are the best. It takes the best to know the best, and you are the best. So, everyone, please take care and please remember that you are the only you in all the universe. You're the only you that's ever been and the only you that will ever be. What that does is it makes you special, it makes you sacred, and most of all, it makes you necessary. Because as the only you in all of the universe would not be the same or complete without you. So, everyone have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening, or night. May you walk gently with the world. May the world walk gently with you. And as always, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. So, have a good day, learn something new. I'm proud of you and I love you. All righty, we shall see you tomorrow. Bye.
Emerald Queen, where the gamers unite.